Hey guys, this is Elias with Softfly, and in this video I'm going to show you how to import JetEngine custom fields using an Excel file and WPL import. Now the first thing we need to do is to get our file. Now we have several options for that. We could upload a file directly from our computers, right, by clicking on this button. We could use an existing file from another import, or we can download a file via URL or FTP. Now, my file today, I have it in an external server, and I'm going to choose to download it from URL. And as you can see, it's an Excel file right here. So I'm going to click on the download button, right? And with this, WPL import already has our file. And now we need to decide whether we want to create new items or update existing ones. Now, in today's video, we're importing property listings, right? And we don't have any properties in this site at the moment. So it doesn't really matter which option we use, because with the existing items import, we can also create new items. The only difference really is what products can we target with these different imports, right? So if, for example, you had some properties already built in your site, maybe you created them manually, or maybe you created them with another import. Well, you can target those properties using the existing items import, and you can also create new properties with it. But if you use the new items import, you cannot target those properties to be updated, right, with this import, because this import will only affect those properties that it creates, right? So if I rerun this import because I want to update some properties, because maybe some things on the import file just changed, well, I can update the properties that were created by this import, but not the ones that were created manually or whatever. So that's the main difference. But as I mentioned before, guys, in this example, doesn't really matter because we don't have any. So I'm going to choose new items, and then I'm going to select properties from this pull down, right? This is where you select the post type you want to import. So we're going to create new properties for each record in our data file. Now all of this is looking good, so I'm going to click on the continue to step 2 button. Right, so in this second step, we need to review whether WPL import is detecting all of the correct data. And for example, we have here 105 nodes, which means 105 properties. Each one of these, it's a node, and as you can see, it is a property with the description, map address, amenities, square feet, bathrooms, and well, all of the other data we need to import, right? So this is looking good, and we do have 105 properties in our import file. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and we will find here the manage filtering options. Now, let's say I don't want to import all 105 properties. Maybe I only want to import a subtract of them, right? Maybe I only want to import those properties that are on the market, right? Because, well, maybe I don't want properties that are not in the market in my site, right? So to do that, we need to, well, first of all, know our file, know how it's structured, what elements it has and whatnot. And in this example, we can use this availability element, and we can use the on-market value. So I'm going to show you how to do this, right? Here we have this first pull down, which is the element 1. And from here, I'm going to select availability, which is the field I showed you before right here. Now, for the rule, right, I must select equals. You can select any other rule depending on what you want to do. But in this example, I'm going to choose equals. And right here on value, I'm going to type in on market, because this is the value I want to filter my properties by. Now I'm going to add this rule, right? And then I'm going to click on this button that says apply filters to XPath. Now this is XPath, right? This is the XPath expression. And right now it's empty. So if I click here, you can see a new XPath expression has been generated. And if I scroll up a little bit, we no longer have 105 properties. Now we have 76. Now these 76 properties are those properties which are on the market right here. And WPL import is transforming this Excel file into an XML, and this is the reason we can use XPath expressions on it. Now, if you do know what XPath is, then awesome, you know you can do all sorts of crazy stuff here. But if you don't know what XPath is, you don't know what XML is, you don't know anything of that, just don't worry about it. You don't really need to know that to use WPL import. I want to walk you through the whole process so you can see it's very simple. Now, guys, if you want, you can add multiple rules here, right? For example, you only want to import those properties that have, I don't know, maybe more than 2 bathrooms, right? Well, just add the rule and keep adding the rules, and WPL import will just keep narrowing down your file until you have exactly the properties you want to import. Now, in this example, I'm happy with my current setup. I only want to import those properties that are on the market. So I'm going to continue to step 3. Now here on step 3, it's very straightforward, guys. Basically, you have 2 columns. The one in the right, you can see it's the actual data, where you have these little green elements, which you can click on them, drag, and drop them into the fields you want those elements to go. For example, this is the property name, and this is the property title, right? So I just drag and drop that value here, and WPL import will import this value as the title, right? So this is the first record we have. This is the second one, and this is the third one, and so on and so forth, right? So the description is this field right here. So I'm going to drag and drop that here. You can preview this, and as you can see, we have the right data getting imported. You can also preview the other records like so, right? Cool, guys. So let's continue with our import, right? Here we have the images section. So I'm going to open that up. And here we have several options. Well, that options vary depending on where you have your images hosted. Now, you can use URLs to download your images, and WPL import will get those URLs and import the actual image file directly into your media library, right? In this example, we have this image feature element. So I'm going to drag and drop that, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see it. This is an external URL. So I can copy this and paste it in my browser, and as you can see, the image is accessible. So this is always a good sign. Now, it's always a good idea, though, to preview and test this just to make sure it works. So I'm going to click on this button. All right, you can see here a little preview of the image, and I'm going to click on the Run Test button. Now, this test was successful, so that means that WPL import is able to access the server where the image is hosted, and is also able to download said image, right? So now that we know that our images can be downloaded, right, we just need to check these other settings. Now, if your images are hosted in maybe the media library, or if you have your images hosted in this path, you uploaded them via FTP or whatever, well, just select the option that works for you and run the import, right? This is very straightforward. Now, in this example, we have 2 elements, 3 actually, of images. We have the featured image, we have a gallery, and we have the floor plan. And actually, I can, for example, copy this to paste it here, and you can see here we have our floor plan, right? So we don't want to use this gallery and floor plan elements here in the images section, because we do have other fields specifically for a gallery and floor plan here in our post type. I want to show you real quick, just so you know what we're dealing with. Here we have the media tab, and here we have our galleries element, and we have here our floor plan element. And we are going to import these fields using the JetEngine Add-On, right? So from this images tab, I'm just going to make sure that the set the first image to the feature image option is enabled, which is by default, right? And since the image can be accessed, I'm just going to leave all of this as it is, because those default values work just fine for me. It's really rare that you need to change those, but you can hover on the question marks and know a little bit more about what they do. But again, I'm just gonna leave them as they are for this example. I'm gonna skip the custom fields area because we don't have any custom fields other than those created with JetEngine. So I'm just gonna jump in straight into the JetEngine add-on section. Now, when you open this, you need to enable the custom fields you have created. So if you had other group fields created here, you will find another option. You just click here and you can see they show up, right? So here we have our map address, short address, date first listed, whatnot. We've had different kinds of fields here, right? And here we have our media tab, which has our gallery field and our floor plan. Now we're gonna get there. Let's just work our way through the whole list of fields, right? Dragging and dropping elements into them so they can get imported, right? Now here we have the map address and I have that element here, so I'm gonna drag and drop that. And the map address and short address fields are simple text fields. I want to show you real quick here. They're just simple text, and so they are very straightforward. But this date first listed is a date picker, and WP will import the text that too. So I'm gonna drag and drop this short address, and here for the date first listed, you can click on it and select a date directly from here. Now, if you select this date, WP import will import this same date to all of the 76 properties, which is kind of not what we want, I guess, because we do have here an element we can use. So I'm gonna drag and drop this element right here. And if you hover on the question mark, WP import says a little bit more details about the field you're querying about. So this field, this date picker field, will use a PHP function called str2time. Now this PHP function will transform pretty much any readable date format to whatever JetEngine is using for this field, right? So we have here this date, and WP import will just transform that into a readable format to be used with JetEngine. So that's pretty neat. Now here we have this availability field, which we use to filter all of the properties that are on the market, right? But we have other options here. So this is the same situation here as in the date picker. We can select a value from here, but then WP import will import that value into the whole 76 properties. Well, in this case, it doesn't really matter because all of them are on the market. But nevertheless, we have other fields here, like the listings type, which is also a select field. Now, guys, the way you have to import these values dynamically in WP import is using this set with XPath option, right? So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to drag and drop my availability, which is here, on the import field. Cool. With this, WP import will import this dynamically, and I'm going to do the same with the listings type, right? Cool. So there you have it. That's it. It's very simple, guys. You can hover on the question mark for those for this set with XPath fields, and we're gonna do that in this amenities field. Let's just drag and drop the price real quick here. All right, and now here for the amenities, again you can select values from here, but WP import will import these same values into the whole batch of properties, which we don't want because maybe we select pool from here, right? And yeah, as it turns out, some of these properties may not have pools, so that's so cool. Now let's just set this with XPath, right? And if we hover on this question mark, it says that for multiple values we need to separate those values with commas. Now if I zoom in here, you can see this amenities element is not using a comma to separate the elements. It's using a pipe, right? So WP import gives you a lot of flexibility, guys. You can do all sorts of crazy stuff with your data. There is no need to go to your file and change your file directly, because maybe in some cases you cannot do that, right? So in some cases, this file is coming directly from a provider and you cannot modify that file because it's not yours. That company, that whatever, it's just giving you a file or whatever, and you just need to find a way to work with that file, right? So there is a couple of things we can do. For example, you can use a custom PHP function right here. And we have other videos on this, guys. So if you want to know more, you can check out the other videos in our channel, or you can go to wpolimport.com, click on the docs menu, and from there, just find the function editor section, which is under inline PHP. Now, again, you can write your own functions here and do pretty much whatever you want with your data. But there is also a couple of hidden functionalities here in WPL import for advanced users. Now, we have some built-in functions, and there is one that can be very useful in this example. That function, it's called str replace, right? And what this function will do is to find an element in our text, which in this case, it's going to be the pipe. I'm going to zoom in right here so you can see very clearly what I'm doing, right? I'm going to close these quotes because this is the first element we want to find in our text, the pipe. Then I'm going to open these quote marks again. I'm going to type in a comma and close that quote marks again. Now this second element right here is the one we're going to use to replace this first one, right? And then we need to tell WPL import where we want to run this function, right, to replace this pipe with this comma. So we just need to drag and drop this amenities field right here, right? And then we need to close this parenthesis and the brackets. And with this, WPL import will be able to replace the pipes with a comma. And thus, we will just use the format that the XPath option requires, which is different values separated with a comma. Cool. So, guys, this is very advanced. So, if you want to know more about that, you're welcome to, as I said before, check out the other videos in our channel, check out our docs at wpolimport.com, or just straight up write to our support team, and we will be more than happy to guide you and help you out, right? So let's move on. We have here our square fits. So I'm going to drag and drop that. Bathrooms, same situations. So I'm going to drag and drop the bathrooms too. Same with the bedrooms. All right. And here we have something very interesting. Here we have a repeater field. I'm going to show you guys how this looks here in the post type. Here we have our rooms element. And if I click here on add item, you can see we have name, measurement, and description. So if I keep adding items, you can see it creates sub-elements over and over and over again. This is cool because maybe some properties have 4 rooms, maybe some other properties have 3, others maybe have 10 or whatever. So yeah, let's just show you guys how this works. And we have 2 options here. Basically, we have the fixed mode and the variable mode. Now, the variable mode has 2 ways of working. One of them is for XML, and the other one is for CSV or Excel, right? So the issue with the fixed mode is that it's only good for us if we have a fixed number of rooms per property. Now, say all of the properties have exactly 4 rooms, right? So we could use this fixed mode and just add here new rows. This is the second one, third, and fourth row. So we can use here the values for all of these rows, and WPL import will just populate them, right? But in this case, for example, this first item, it has this entrance hallway, then it has the kitchen diner, and then it has a living room, right? You can see them separated with this pipe element. Here we have the measurements. This is the first one, right? This is the second one, and so on and so forth. They are separated with pipes. Same here with the description. So this one has 3 rooms, and this one has, well, a lot more, right? This third one has, well, quite a bit more actually. So if we use the fixed mode and we add 4 columns, well, there will be a lot of rooms that won't get imported. But there is a simple solution for that, right? We can use this variable CSV mode, right? We can make sure that the separator is the one we're using here, which in this case it is because it's a pipe. And then we drag and drop the values into these fields. For example, we have here our room's name, the room's measurement, and the room's description, all right? And I'm gonna enable this ignore blank fields option. And if I hover on the question mark, I'm gonna read you what it says here. If the value of the element or column in your file is blank, it will be ignored. Use this option when some records in your file have different number of repeating elements than others. So if some of these elements doesn't have maybe a measurement, right, or doesn't have a description, well, WPL import will ignore that, right, and continue importing the other sub-elements. So this is what we want, guys, right? So scrolling down a little bit, we have here our media, and inside the media subsection, we have our gallery field, and those elements are here. So I'm gonna drag and drop that, right? I'm gonna zoom in so we can confirm what kind of separator we're using, and surprise, it's a pipe. So I'm gonna type in here a pipe, all right? And with this WPL import, we'll be able to separate all of these images and import them correctly. Now I'm going to enable this option that says search through the media library for existing images before importing new images. Right? So what this will do is basically before WPL import downloads an image, it will compare whether that image already exists in our media library or not. And if it does exist, it will use that image instead of downloading a new one. This is pretty neat, so you can maybe avoid creating a bunch of duplicate images and clutter your database. You don't want that, right? So keep this enabled for the most cases. Now, if you don't want this, just disable it, no worries, right? So I'm going to choose to match this by URL, and yeah, I'm going to roll with these settings. I'm going to do the same with the floor plan, right? Drag and drop, enable this, match it by URL, and move on into the contact section. Now here we have 4 fields, so I'm just gonna drag and drop those like so. All right, and with this, I believe we have everything we need from the JetEngine add-on section. We have our map address and short address, date first listed, the ability, listings type, price. Here on the amenities field, we just ran a quick inline PHP function to replace the pipe with a comma. And so we can match the accepted format to be used with XPath. Then we have square feet, bedrooms. Then we have our rooms repeater, which we use the variable CSV mode. And then we set up our media gallery, floor plans, and the contact info. So all of this is looking real nice, guys. So I'm gonna jump into the next section, which is the taxonomies one. Now here for the taxonomies, we have tenure, right? So that tenure is right here. I drag and drop that, cool. And then we have the property of the week. Now, guys, with this property of the week, we have a small issue. I'm gonna drag and drop this, right? And as you can see here, this property of the week just says 1, and the next one it says 0. So this is using a binary system to tell us whether the property of the week is in fact a property of the week or not, right? So here in our site, we don't have that structure here. We have yes and no, right? So what do we do here, right? So we can use, of course, a PHP function, like we did here, right? But this only accepts one value, right? Now we can use another cool thing, which is an if-else statement that will just check whether our file is using a 1 and then return a value, and if not, return another one. But here for the taxonomies, we can do a simpler thing, right? We can map the values, and the way we do that is right here in this option that says enable mapping for property of the week. So I'm going to enable this, right? And it says in your file 1 translated to yes. And here I'm going to add another rule, which is going to be in my file 0 translated to no, right? So WPL import will just transform the ones into yes and the zeros into no's. Pretty simple, guys. Pretty cool, pretty powerful, right? Now, all of this is looking good. So I'm going to jump into the next tab, right? This next tab, it just has some standard WordPress stuff, maybe post status, post dates, comments, whatnot. Here you have the slug. Now, if I leave this empty, what WPL import will do is basically just do as WordPress does, which is take the title right here and sanitize it. So in this case, it will just remove the spaces and replace them with dashes, basically, right? So I'm just gonna leave it like that. Why not? Where is it? Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna leave it blank. Here for the post author, well, it will just assign those properties to whatever user is running this import. Now you can change that if you use here an email address, a username, or an ID, or of an existing user in the site, right? But in this example, I'm just gonna leave this blank with the defaults. Same with all of the other stuff here. So yeah. Here we have the function editor. I would just want to remind you guys again that if you need to run PHP functions, you can go to our website and check out the docs we have there on how to do that in WPL import. All right, we have great documentation and great videos on how to do that. Cool, guys. So I believe we're ready here. So I just want to show you one last thing before we move into the step 4, and that is the option to save this as a template. So all of the stuff you did here, right? All of this, you can save all of this configuration, all of these settings, all of this mapping, all of that, you can save it as a template. So you can just enable this, right? Let's give it a name. I'm gonna test import. Yeah, why not? That's it. So the next time you need to run an import and maybe you're using the same file structure or whatever, you can just click here on load template and look for test import, and then WPL import will reload this page, and you will find all of this property name, description, and all of these elements already mapped into your import template, right? It can save you a lot of time. It's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to continue to step 4, right? And here in step 4, we have this unique identifier. Now, guys, this unique identifier is basically what WPL import uses to differentiate each record in our data file. Now, this is very important because WPL import needs a way to tell like all of the properties are different, because otherwise it wouldn't create them as different properties. It will just create a property and use the other record to update that property, because it will think it's the same one, just that needs updating, right? So the easiest way to go about this is click here on the auto detect button. Just click there, guys, and WPL import will just select the right unique identifier for you, right? You don't need to overthink this. Just click there and let WPL import do its magic, right? Now, guys, here we have some options in case you want to rerun this import. Now, these options will just control different things that can happen during this second import, right? So this first option will control whether we want to create new properties, right, the next time you run this import or not, right? So I can give you maybe an example of this. Let's say you just deleted some of these properties. You deleted this 94 match code, line 2.1, right? So if you decide to rerun this import right? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe you modified some of the data in the other properties and you want to rerun this import to fix that, right? To return those to the right values. But you don't want to create this 94 match code lane to property because you already deleted it and you don't need it. So just disable this option and run the import, and WPL import won't create a property, right? But if the case is the contrary one, right? Maybe you deleted some properties by mistake and you want to create those all over again, but you don't want to update any of the other data because maybe you modified some of the data or whatever manually and you don't want to overwrite that. You just need to create again those properties that were deleted. Well, just disable this option and leave this enabled, and that's what WPL import will do, right? You can also choose which data to update right here, because maybe, let's say you only want to, maybe you only want to update the images, right? Well, just deselect all of the other options and keep the images enabled, and that's what WPL import will do, right? Now in this example, I'm gonna choose to update all of the data and roll with it because I'm creating the properties from scratch, but you can choose otherwise, right? Now here we have other cool feature in WPL import, which is the ability to remove or modify properties that are no longer present in this import file. So what this does is, well, basically what it says it's gonna do, if WPL import finds a property that used to be here, but it's no longer in the import file, well, what happens then, right? You can, first of all, you can select which properties are you targeting. Are you want to target those properties that were created by this import only, or you want to target all of the properties in your site, no matter if they were created with this import or not, right? So once you decide that, you need to decide what happens. So you want to send them to the trash, you want to change the status to draft or private or whatever, or you want to set a custom field. For example, you can set this availability field to maybe sold, right? So WPL import marks all of the properties that are no longer here as sold. Or you can go a little bit more aggressively and straight up delete those properties and all of the files and images attached to them, right? So this is something you can do too, because maybe you don't want properties that are no longer in the market in your site, right? So just delete that. Cool. So if you want to know more about this, just click here on this YouTube icon or hover on the question marks and you will know more about these options, right? Next, we have here the scheduling options, and this is pretty neat because as I showed you before, guys, this file is coming directly from an external server. And this is what happens very commonly with these kinds of imports, where we have a feed of properties that our provider just updates, and it gives you an URL. I just paste that URL in WPL import. WPL import gets your file, and your provider updates that file maybe on a daily basis, or maybe it updates the file monthly or weekly or whatever. And well, instead of just creating a new import, right, you can rerun this import manually if you go here to manage import and run the import from them. I'm gonna show you guys when we finish this first import, right? But if the intervals of time are the same always, meaning that it's daily or it's weekly or wherever, you can automate this whole process, right? And you have two ways of doing it. You can use the automatic scheduling service, which is a paid service. It costs $9 a month. And you can, for example, enable all of the days here, right? So WPL import runs every single day at 12 a.m., say, right? So this import will run at 12 a.m. every single day, and it will update your properties. Now, you can combine this, for example, with these options, right? And all of the time you will have your site with the latest properties that are on the market, and those that have been sold, which means that they were removed from your provider's import file, right? Well, they will be deleted from your site automatically. So that's pretty neat, right? Now, guys, there is no obligation of paying this $9 a month service, right? This is just very convenient because you can set all of this up very easily here directly in WordPress. But you can also use cron jobs, right? And cron jobs are free. It just is a little bit more technical, right? So you may need to contact your web host provider for some assistance on this, or you can just click here, right, on this link and read our docs on using cron jobs, right? It's very simple, guys, but I do get it can be a little bit technical for some people. So yeah, just check out these docs and you will know what to do with the cron jobs. And if not, and the docs are just not gonna cut it for you, you can just contact our support team and we will be more than happy to give you a hand. Now, I'm not gonna do that in this example, so I'm gonna close this up, right? And lastly, we have this configure advanced settings section. And here, well, these first options are mostly for debugging purposes. So if your import is terminating for some reason, it will give you a message, and that message is mostly gonna have something to do with these options right here, right? Then we have this other section where you can specify which records you want to import. Now, here's the syntax if you hover on the question mark. So in this example, for example, we could say I'm gonna import the first record, and then I'm gonna import from the 10th one to the 20th one, right? And then I want to import the number 30 and whatnot. And well, you can play around with this if you want to, right? It's not mandatory, it's just a feature. Here is another option to use another XML reader to parse your import file. You can hover on the question mark and it will show you a brief description of it. And here is where you have the ability to set this import with a name or a label so you can easily identify it, right? So there you have it, guys. This is pretty much everything we need to cover here in WPL import. So I'm gonna click on the continue button, right? Oh, oops, I'm gonna disable this first, right? Because I don't wanna do that in this video. And this is, guys, I'm gonna show you real quick, right? If you decide to use this option, right, WPL import says, hey, this is potentially destructive, so run a backup first, right? So if you try to continue, the WPL import will just warn you again, and it will force you to type in here, I have backups. And without this, you cannot continue with your import, because once WPL import deletes these properties, there is just no way of recovering them without a backup, right? When you're importing, just keep that in mind, guys, right? So let's continue, right? Here we have a brief summary of your import, and this is just the import file you're gonna use, the filters you used, which is the XPath we placed in using the UI. Then we have our unique key and all of the other settings, right? So all of this is looking real good. So I'm gonna continue and run my import. Now, this is gonna take a minute or two while the WPL import downloads all of the images. So I'm gonna pause the video here and come back when it's ready. All right, guys, so the import is complete. Let's see how our properties came in. All right, so we have 76 properties, which is great. This is the number we expected. And yeah, well, all of them seem to be here. Let's open this one up, see what's going on here. All right, so we have this title, the description, we have the tenure, the property of the week mapping we used worked. So that's great because we don't have here a 0, but we have a no, right? So the featured image is here. Here we have our map address, short address, the date first listed. Remember, guys, we used this dynamically with the WPL import feature using the str2time function. Here we have the ability, listings type, price. We can see here the amenities. Remember, guys, we used an inline function here to change the pipes with a comma, and it seems to have worked. Now here we have a square feet, bathrooms, and the rooms repeater. And as you can see, we have a bunch of rooms, which is great. All of them seem to be different, so awesome. right? So now we have here our media section, and you can see all of the images seem to be here. We have our floor plan, and here we have our contact tab with all of the data it should have. Now all of this is looking great. Let's take a picture in the front end where we have this beautiful website, and there you go. Here is our gallery with all of the image downloaded and correctly attached to our property. That's great. So we have our title, the beds, the bedrooms, the short address, the price, and the different fields. We have here this little map, description, the amenities, and all of the rooms and agent information. So there you have it, guys. That's pretty much it. So this has worked. So awesome. Let's take a step back real quick here so I can show you something real cool before we go, right? So here we have the all import menu. So I'm gonna click here on manage imports, and here we have the import we just ran, right? So this is the URL we use, right? And here is a brief summary of whatever happened the last time we ran this import, right? Here we have some scheduling options in case we want to schedule this using either the automatic scheduling service or cron jobs, right? And if you click here, you can edit this template, which is the same as coming back here to step 3, right? So you can also click here on settings, and from here you can enable this remove or modify properties that are no longer present functionality, right? Just this so you know, you guys, you can rerun this import as many times as you want just by clicking here on this button, right? Now I'm gonna run this import again just to show you guys what happens, right? And boom, all of the properties were skipped. Why were all skipped? Well, because we had this option enabled. All right, it says skip properties if their data in this import file has not changed. So since that was the case, WPL import will just skip all of the properties. But if our import file were changed, well, WPL import will have updated all of these properties, right? So another way of forcing that is just save this import configuration, and WPL import says settings have changed or settings edit since the last run. So if I rerun this import now, right, WPL import won't skip these properties, but it will be a lot faster because we won't be needing to actually download images because the images already exist in our media library, right? So you can see WPL import updated all 76 records, right? Yeah, there you have it, guys. That's how you import JetEngine custom fields using an Excel file and WPL import. That's also how you rerun this import and make a lot of fun stuff, right? So, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to know more about how to import or export other WordPress data, but maybe you're using Metabox or ACF for your custom fields and whatnot, so you can import or export those values to with WPL import, just check out the other videos in our channel and check out our website at wplimport.com, and see you next time.